All right, well, welcome to this week's client support webinar. My name is Bennett McDowell with traderscoach.com. Great to have everybody here. Well, we got a nice full room here today, so feel free to start typing in questions. Frank, how are you? Good to see you here today, and hope everybody's doing well. Gene, before I get going, any quick announcements you want to make? Maybe Stock Analysis Friday or something?
Yes, of course. Always love seeing folks join us for Stock Analysis Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific time every single Friday on YouTube, and I'll post the link.
Okay, super, great, thank you. All right, so market selling off this week so far, on the Moore report and Yummy, we went over that, those charts, so I'm not gonna do that obviously in the client support. That's not really the focus of the client support. Client support is mainly to answer questions that you may have on how to use software, for example, or maybe how the software works, or comments on the course material if you need any help with that, and so forth. So that's kind of what we come here and meet every week for. And it's kind of like an ongoing support session. So if you have a question that comes up during the week, and you can always put a ticket in with our support services, that's 24/7. But sometimes questions are better answered in person like this. So that's why we do these. So anyway, great to have everybody here. All right, let me go through a few administrational items before we get going. I have to do the risks involved in trading thing. And like I always say, there are risks in pretty much everything we do in life. What you want to kind of do is figure out how much risk you want to take on any endeavor, right? And so that's important to do. So always trade with money you can afford to risk in the markets, whether you're investing in anything. That's what because that's your potential loss, right? In trading, what we try to also do is zero that in, dial it in. So we're actually calculating our risk on each and every trade. And that way, when we do that, we know how much we could potentially lose when we enter a trade. And then on the other side of the coin, you need to understand how much you could potentially win. And so you always want your wins to be bigger than your losses. So when you look at a trade, a lot of times, a system will generate a trade, but that's only half the coin, okay? The other half of the coin is, okay, generate a trade, but what's the profit potential, right? Okay, it's one thing to say, okay, it's a good time to go long, but if you're getting long at the top of a mature trend, then you may not have that much more room to go for the target, right? In other words, the gain's not that great, but the risk is great. So you may not want to take that trade, even though your system could be generating a buy. So keep that in mind. That's always important to know what your potential win is versus your risk. And that's called the win to loss risk ratio. And we teach you how to calculate that. Also, too, anything we talk about here, run by your financial advisor, whoever manages your money, because we don't know your personal situation. And of course, they do. And then finally, realize that we are always working in a realm of probabilities in the marketplace. Know that. It's important to realize that, because even if you have an edge in the system, in the overall markets, you're not going to win every time. So you always got to protect that downside. That's really super important. So past performance cannot equal future performance in the marketplace, because things can certainly change. But if you do have an edge, you have to have a situation where you can apply that edge in order to attain it. All right, so here's my books I've written, and you can certainly, maybe Gene will put a link up there, but you can get these off the website too if you go under, I think it's education and books. My new book, The Art of Trading, 2nd edition. All right, I think it's gonna be my best book ever. Wiley Publishers asked me to write this book last year. We put a lot of new content in it, so you can pre-order that as well. And usually the pre-order price is the best, but you can do that on your own. All right, Ultimate Trading System, because we cover pretty much all the important aspects of trading. Charting software for entries, exits, and setting stops, both initial and trailing. We also have scanners to uncover the opportunities, because with all the markets out there, it's impossible to thumb through every chart. So this is where the scanners come in and do the heavy work for us, and then isolate the ones we want to focus on. And then we've got risk control software at the bottom, so don't forget that. All right, so let me come out of here. There is something I wanted to really cover really quick here. And that is, I've got TradeStation up. I don't know how many people are using TradeStation, but usually quite a few do. So have you ever opened up TradeStation and it looks kind of like this? You know, there's nothing there, but there is something there. And you go ahead and move the XY axis and look at that. Oh my gosh, all right? Unreadable, right? So what do? Well, right click on the chart and reset scaling range fixes that. See that? Just do it on all the charts that occurs on. If you do that, that brings it back to the way it normally should look, okay? So that's just a quick trick you can certainly do when you are looking at that, okay? So definitely don't get too frustrated if that happens, right? And then you know, and it doesn't matter if it's intraday charts or end of day charts, it's the same, okay? And on Ninja Trader, you can hit the F button, okay? So if this gets switched up like this, see the F button up here? Hit that. That will reset it, okay? And then you can adjust it again. So all charts have that scaling reset on them, and we get asked a lot about that. Hey, check this out. Check out this is the CPT, which is a real estate investment fund. Look at that baby taking a dive right now, okay? So, you know, interest rates are, I think they're the highest, what was it that I read? The highest since 2000 maybe? I can't remember exactly. Let me just see here. I just saw that, and let me just see where I've got it. Surged to a 23-year high, highest level since 2000. Yep, 23-year high. So there you have it. Unbelievable, okay? And that obviously is affecting real estate for sure, and you can see it on this chart right away. All right, any other questions out there to do with software or anything like that? Al, let's see what you have. I had to update my BIOS on my new computer last night. Now Ninja will not load indicators charts, so cannot access the R. Didn't you have a problem last week that we just fixed? I think we did, right? So this is a new problem? So what are you failing to understand in terms of being able to fix it yourself? All right, so you updated your BIOS, so that changed probably your MAC ID number, which screwed up your activations. That's probably what it did. Hopefully it didn't reset your entire hard drive, but BIOS normally wouldn't do that, but it could reset your MAC ID. So Ninja starts okay, is that correct? You can turn on your mic, I think. Let me just see, maybe you can't. I don't know how we have the settings on this bad boy.
We can give him access.
Yeah, I just did. Al, go ahead and cut your mic on. I'm glad you're bringing it up now because this is exactly what these sessions are for. So Al, I've got your mic on if you want to talk to me. I can't hear you if you're talking to me. Oh, Al just muted out. Okay, I guess something's not going quite right there. All right, so let's see. All right, so the idea is that when I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions, Al, so you just answer my questions, okay? That'll help me help you, okay? All right, so when you turn on Ninja, you get data, correct? Data's coming in all right? Yes or not? All right, so you're not getting data at all. No data from, what do you use? TD Ameritrade, I think, right? So you have no data at all, right? No data. Just say no data if you're not getting data. Okay, so the first thing we got to do is get data in your system. So I'm up here, go to connections. Can you not connect into your data provider? will not let you connect. All right, so go to configure and look up your TD Ameritrade situation. Make sure your username and password are correct. And you may have to reinstall Ninja, you know. I would do a reinstall. It will act like a repair because maybe when you updated the BIOS, it got rid of some files in there. One never knows for sure, you know. Okay, so let's do this. All right, let's reinstall Ninja. That doesn't mean you have to wipe out everything. It just means you need to go to the Ninja website, re-download the software, and then close Ninja and run it, okay? So maybe under help here, see where it says download? Go there now. And once you access the download area in Ninja, go ahead and close Ninja on your computer because you can't do the install with Ninja open, okay? So close that, download it. Let's start there. Download it and run it just like you would any other application. And then once it's finished, restart Ninja and let's see if that fixes things. That's step one. So try that. All right, do that now. That way I'm here if it doesn't work, okay? All right, Frank is saying, check out USO. Yeah, we've been checking that baby out. You know, we recommended this one as a long position a while back, and it's certainly doing extremely well. Again, my target is up around 100 to 124 on this move up now. So you're going to see higher prices at the pump for sure. All right, and then gold here. All right, take a look at gold. Give that a second to load. That's coming down for right now. Okay, so kind of had a retracement here, another high. But you know, look at the PTF on the long term. Okay, it's still saying more highs coming. Short term, we're kind of coming down a little bit. So, you know, if we draw in an inflection point retracement between here and here, you know, we're in it now. So probably a little bit lower, and then we should be good. Okay, I'm going to remove this one. But I think you're probably got a little bit more room to come down. But as long as that PTF stays green on the long-term charts, then after this pullback is done, and it's not done yet because you got a red PTF on the shorter time 60-minute chart. After that's done, then we should resume back to the upside. Okay. All right. James is saying, please explain the PTF trade that you frequently mention. Oh, okay. All right. So I think let me put up a whiteboard here and explain. All right. So let's say James is asking, please explain the PTF trade that you frequently mention if you have time. Absolutely. All right. So Nate titled this PTF. All right. So the PTF trade is a scalp trade. Now, when you look at different trades, a lot of times you'll look for the Elliott wave, okay? And if that's the case, you know, you got a 3, you got a 4, and you got a 5 target. The target's up here, so let's say you're trying to get in early here. That's not a PTF trade, that's just a trade based off the Elliott wave and fib extensions, right? So that's kind of like a trend trade. So any time you really trade an identifiable, that's a key word, identifiable impulsive wave and an Elliott wave, which is a 1, 3, or 5, all right, you're usually, okay, trend trade. When we talk about a PTF trade, however, it's more of a scalp trade. Now, there's times when the PTF is in alignment with this. For example, let's say the PTF was green when you went in here, and the high here of wave 3 produced the green, so that makes sense, right? So this would be a PTF trade and a trend trade all in one. But there's a lot of times where you have a messy market, where it's kind of like this, you know, and then pulls down. Let's say, all right, this spike here produced a green PTF, all right? Let's say it was yellow before or something. So now it's green, but it's heading down. And let's say the owl, which sits above the PTF, right, is red. Well, when the owl turns green, okay, and we see a reversion in the market to the upside or momentum, then the PTF could be used for a target, right? Because this is what it's saying. I'll take the highest high in the PTF area, and that's the 75% probability that prices will get up there. So even though we don't know the Elliott wave on this one, this provides a target. So this could be considered a PTF scalp trade. So that's what we mean by that. So we would go long because this is green and exit when we hit the top of here and the PTF turns yellow, because that's when it'll turn yellow. See what I'm saying? Now, one of the key elements in a PTF trade is setting your stop. Because what I usually like to do is, you're trying to get in early. So as soon as that momentum goes up here, that's fine. If you're going to go in here on the first swing up, always put your stop down one area below it. The reason for that is it's definitely not changing trend yet, right? Because what you would have to have more confidence of putting your stop closer is this needs to pull back and then needs to surge forward for the entry here, right? That way you've got higher highs and higher lows in a slight uptrend. When you go in here, you don't have that. It's an early trade. And it's more risky when you put your stop here. So I always try to find another level to put it at a little bit lower if that does not represent the bottom. Now, if this is the bottom of the trend, well, then that's the best place. But if you have another area that's lower, it's better. The PTF can be 75% correct. However, that doesn't mean that every trade you take on the PTF is 75%. The reason for that is if you choose a poor stop loss placement, what happens if the market comes down, takes you out, you get stopped out of the loss, and then goes and the PTF is right? Well, the PTF is going to be right. That's 75%. That would be included in one of the times it's right. But your stop loss placement created a loss. If you kept your stop back here, you would have been better. Do you see the difference? Does that make sense? Okay, so that's good. You got it? Okay, cool. All right. Sometimes a whiteboard is a good way to go. So every time you see like this, like take a look at this. Would this be a good PTF trade here? No. It's red saying we're going to go lower, but the only thing it's telling you so far is that this price bar at the bottom is the target. And there's not enough of a target to make sense for a short trade. So you usually have to have a pullback to make it worthwhile. Like here, see this? We're still in this pullback. So after this ends, then if this remains green, then there's your target. That makes for a better trade, see? So your risk to reward on any trade, whether it's a PTF or a trend trade, try to make it at least 2 to 1. So you have a decent target, okay? All right, let's see what we got cooking out there. If you have a bear or up wave on 5-minute or 10-minute, will it translate on longer time frames, or we work vice versa, looking at the greater picture first? It doesn't really matter as long as you take into account, Frank, all 3 time frames, okay? For example, if you look at this here, you can look to the left. If this happened to be the first one you looked at, well, it's a downtrend, right? All right, bearish pyramid, okay, moving down. A little bit of a green owl, but not much. This is actually showing a big move up eventually, but we have to go through the lower time frames first. So basically, you know, if I started here and I saw potential, but I see it moving down, confirmed with this time frame, confirmed with this time frame, then I know not to go long, but there may be a long position out there at some point, okay? If I'm considering a short trade, well, again, like I was telling Jim, we're so close to the target here, that's not gonna help. We're already in the target here. So probably a short trade here would not be the best thing to do at this time. Instead, I wait for this thing to bottom and look for a long trade. You know, and this is gold as an example, that's all. Now, if you were looking at a 5 or 10 minute time frame, then you're day trading, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, for example, let's take a look here. Okay, here's the futures market. Let's go over to gold. You know, this is right from our day trading room. And the multiple time frame works there, but when I'm trading a 1 minute time frame, I'm not even going to bother with anything over 5 minutes. Okay, that's my higher time frame. See what I'm saying? But it's the same thing. All right, in this case, I've got things moving down on all time frames. Okay. And obviously, you know, the old adage, is it better to get in here, all right, or here, or here, right? Obviously, the beginning is always the best place. So if you miss a move down on these short time frames, we'll just wait it out. You might have to wait half an hour, but big deal. All right, okay, Venomant Ninja, it says repair or remove. You want to repair, okay? You want to repair. Well, stop losses, Frank, are always determined, okay, on both pyramids and also Elliott wave, let's say Elliott wave tops or bottoms, depending on how soon you get in. So for example, let's say I was looking here for a bottom, okay? Well, I'm not gonna, it's not there yet. And the reason I say it's not there yet is because look, I got red here, okay? So it's still coming down. I got an active pyramid here. All right, so I'm just gonna wait for it to bottom. And then if it turns around and we start getting a move up, then that's good. If I actually start seeing a break above things like this here, and I wanna go in early, that's fine, but the stop's gotta go way at the bottom, all right? The only way I wanna get stopped out of an early trade like that is if I'm wrong, if the bottom's not in, all right? And you can get stopped out twice on a bottom, and if you have a decent target, you can still do okay. 3 times, if you get stopped out 3 times searching for a bottom, best you can do is a break even. That's been my experience, okay? So, you know, bottom fishing is not for everybody, but there's ways in which you can increase the odds. Now, the other thing, we got bullish divergence. We're getting close. I don't want to go long. If this is red, this has got to be yellow at least. All right, we've got a very steep owl here. So there's a lot of pressure still heading down. So if this curled up here, all right, you know, I got to be careful because this is still very bearish, right? So half a position size, and then do your fib retracements, okay, and that's your target. Now, one other thing you can do here to increase the probabilities of bottoms, but it's going to probably mean you don't get in maybe quite as good as you would have if you went in early, is wait for it to come up, wait for that big pullback and see if the bottom holds. And if it does, then wait for it to curl back up, take out the previous high. So technically you have higher highs and higher lows. You enter here and you can put your stop down, okay? So that's all part of risk control, setting your stops and having a method that you feel comfortable with. All right, you don't want to remove out. Definitely you want, well, he's offline now. I don't know where he is now. Okay, so Al, are you back on? I see you offline. Not sure if you're online, offline. I see you here, but I'm not sure you're really here. Okay, so you can hear me, you want to repair that, okay? And then once you catch the trend and you got a nice profit, all right, then just keep using the pyramids on the way up. The other one that's kind of fun to look at, I mean, this is the power of the PTF right here. So here's TLT, right? Give that a second to reload. Let me just see what I want to do with this. We get historical data. All right, let me just see here what I got. Oh, should be okay then. All right, so on this one here, okay. Oh, this is the intraday time frames. That's why it's wacky to me. All right, let's go to the correct time frames. All right, so here's TLT. And this is an example of when TLT is the bond fund, right? So we've been waiting for this to bottom. A lot of people thought the bottom was in here, okay? And many YouTube gurus were saying to buy this bottom, all right? The PTF was red, indicating that this was not the bottom. We're gonna have more lows. What's interesting is that, so I did not go long on that. And I'm glad I didn't, because look what happened, okay? Now the PTF's yellow. So now we can start getting ready to look for a bottom, but it's not quite there yet because it's still, pyramids are still down, but this is going to be a great one at some point to trade when the bottom's in, because then I think it's going to really soar. But the PTF saved our butt in that case. And I listened to it with a 75% accuracy rate. I listened to it. Now, as Frank a lot of times says, well, Ben, it's red, but the market's moving up. It missed it. It's wrong. Okay? It's not going to tell you, all right, the time, how long it's going to be until the market comes back down, nor is it going to tell you what type of profit taking, when the profit taking will end before it comes back down. It's not that smart, but it is smart enough to tell you, okay, that eventually it will curl back over and take that bottom out. So if you're looking at that as a bottom, it's not. That's what it's telling you. And that information is absolutely valuable. So when it's yellow, it's neutral, okay? And so at that particular point, now these stay yellow, and they may not, they could go back to red. But if these stay yellow and we reach a target down here, I'm gonna be all over this, okay? But we'll see. It's got to get down a little further. All right, Al is back. All right, Al, you want to run the repair, okay? Definitely run the repair. All right, and then after you run that, open Ninja again and see if you can connect. You have to close Ninja while you're running the repair. Because right now, you're connecting, you can't connect to your data provider. So if you cannot connect to your data provider, then I don't know if you're having a problem where you have to reload our software or the problem is just the Ninja, right? What I would suggest doing, if you start Ninja and you still cannot connect to your TOS account, then what I would do is try to connect to the free Kinetic data here and see if that works. Because if that works, then probably the problem is in your TOS connection. Okay, now connect to here. Try connecting to Kinetic end of day. And see if you get the little green dot down here. And then what I want you to do is see if your daily and weekly charts load. Remember, Kinetic end of day will not load your intraday charts. If anybody has any other questions, feel free to ask, okay? All right, let's see. While we're waiting on Al there, let's take a look at ENPH. Alexander is watching. Just an FYI, I think probably we're going to be doing a trading summit, which is a live session, live summit here for a couple days here in Arizona. So by the way, it'll be in the wintertime, so the Arizona weather is perfect. in the winter, not too hot, not too cool, just right. And we're probably having it at a hotel here near our area. And it's a live session, so I'll be able to meet each and every one of you that attend, and we'll let you know how that's going to go and when it's going to be. All right, let's see what else we got here. Okay, so when you say hit your F, hit this little F switch up there, Al, and see if you get data, okay? So now you got a problem with toss, okay? It's not connecting to toss. That is something you gotta either get with toss with TD Ameritrade or Ninja to help you with that, okay? All right, so you're getting data now, that's good, okay? All right, okay, so let's see. Now on these charts, did you have the art software loaded already? Are you seeing the art software? All right, so you got a problem with your TOS connection, okay? Okay. Risk to reward calculator, what can I do for you on that, Frank? On pyramids, okay, a couple things on pyramids. All right, let me do a whiteboard here. So if you have, let's say, a big move up, okay, and you have something like this, and let's say we had a big bottom here, okay, all right, and here you are, all right. Normally, after bottoms, you get a pretty big move up. You got a couple things going. You got people thinking that, okay, bottom's in, good time to buy. You got people that are short thinking about covering, okay? And then what happens is you've got some levels here that people watch on the trend down. So when you get to about here, all right, you may see some pulling back. Now, every time you get a big run off the bottom and you have a pyramid, you have to ask yourself, okay, you may even get one forming here if it continues on up. The problem is here is that after this uninterrupted, for the most part, move up, you usually get a very violent move down where it attacks the bears, try to take out the bottom, okay? So if you have your stop here, you're going to get stopped out and a little profit, okay? But the pyramids are going to track the impulsive wave. So if this is a wave one, all right, that's all it's going to do. But if you're trying to get in early to get up to the top of a wave three, don't use the pyramids at all on the first wave up. Put the stop at the bottom. And then after this real big move to the downside, sometimes you get a double bottom, but sometimes it ends pretty violently there and goes back up. As soon as it clears the top of one, then you can move your stop off here. And then once it gets back above here, you can start trading the pyramids for the wave three. Okay, so they're kind of like different little waves. We can cover that next week as well. All right, so let's see what he's got here. All right, all your indicators are gone. All right, so the next thing to do is right click on your chart, all right, and go to templates, go to load, and choose one that probably says Art Owl PTF TLM ERI, okay? So you highlight that and then click OK and see if that loads it in. Yeah, I agree. James is also making a suggestion for you to get your TOS data. He recommends remove the TD current connection. So what you want to do is go up here, okay? All right, and I didn't want to do that. Go up here and go to configure and remove it, Okay, so let's say, you know, and then highlight that and remove it, okay? And then reconnect it, because it may be a connection problem. Good point, Jim. I believe my book is that the new second edition is available for pre-order. It's not been released yet, Frank. So you can go on our Amazon page and order it, and it's a pre-order, I believe. All right, and chances are you probably need to reinstall the art software. So one more thing to do. Your bias thing must have corrupted something. Right click here and let's go to indicators and see if you see the pyramids up here under available. All right, let's see. Frank's asking intraday, Ben, if you see a pyramid, where do you place the stop in a volatile market? That's a good question. Now, when I trade the crude oil and the gold, I give it 7 ticks. When I trade the E-mini, I give it sometimes just no more than 2. Okay, because the indexes are pretty liquid. So you can go 1 or 2 ticks without a problem. But on the unliquid markets, on this very small time frames like crude oil and gold, I give it 7 ticks. And you know what? The best way to, the reason I know that is because when I start getting consistently stopped out using 1 tick, and it looks like they're just running the stops, then I back it off a little bit, okay? So you kind of learn that through actual doing, so to speak. Yeah, that's micros too. It's any market. And we always use the risk to reward calculator, even when we day trade, okay? So Al, do you see where you go to a chart, any chart, right click on it, go to indicators, and see if you see the pyramids, the reversals, and the whole 9 yards. Okay, so you need to reinstall the art software. That's what happened. So here's what you do, okay? There should be a folder in your documents folder called art, might be a zip file. Open that up, close Ninja, open that up and just run the installer and then try again, okay? So when Mark was on your computer, he probably downloaded the software into your documents, so you have the installer setup file, okay? And then run it yourself, but make sure you close Ninja. And it's just a simple run wizard, you know, it's no big deal, all right? You just run it, and that installs what may have been removed when you updated the BIOS, and then start Ninja and see how you make out, and let us know it, open a ticket, let us know, okay? All right, so we've kind of exceeded our half an hour, but good, lot of important stuff to cover today. Okay. I think that will help you. Also, be sure, okay, to always go and check your updates for Windows. Windows has come out with quite a few updates. So you go to your settings area, okay, you go over here and then go to Windows Update, okay, and then check for updates. Do that too, just in case there's an update that's keeping things from working right. Okay. All right. Art base is not in there, or is it? I think he said it was grayed out. Oh, my pleasure, Frank. My pleasure. All right. Good session today. So perfect use of this session. All right. When somebody has a problem, like Al, when you have a problem, great to bring it here. Okay. That's what it's all about. And likewise, the questions, Frank, you had were great. All right, Jim, the questions you had, any questions, that's what this is all about, okay? All right, so Al, do that and see how it goes and let us know how you make out. If that fixes it, open up a ticket and let the support know, because I'm going to tell them that you were having problems with that, and let us know just to make sure you're okay, right? And if you need additional assistance, we'll provide it. All right, anything else? All right, well, let's see how the markets do this week, right? They're kind of coming down a little bit, and to be expected, but we'll see. There will be a rebound to the upside once this concludes, and that's kind of what I'm thinking it's going to be as equally important as the move down. I want to see on the rebound how high up the bulls can take it or can't take it. That's going to be very telling, because if they can't take it very high and the bears come back in abundance, then that could be a D wave top end and we're on our way down. All right, so we'll kind of pay attention to that. All right, so everybody have a great week. We'll be back next week, and thanks for tuning in. The recording on this will be, of course, on our YouTube page. It's hidden, all right, because we keep these private, but you can access it through the client support area. And then don't forget our stock analysis Friday on Fridays, okay? That's a good time. So please come if you can, and you'll probably pick up a few stocks to trade at the end of that session. So it's kind of almost like a stock picking service. All right, we'll see you next week. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great one.